Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited you're here because I'm going to be talking about some new horror books that are coming out the later half of this year, and I'm going to talk about 13 of them because lucky number 13. And yeah, these just sound really cool. I knew about 3 of them, but then I went on to tournight.com, which is like Tor's horror books, release dates for this year, and I'll link that down below in the description so maybe you can see something that you're excited about as well. And yeah, so starting off with Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I've seen everybody talking about this, and I talked about it in my 2021 releases of how excited I am for this, but I am very excited, very excited for this release. This gives me Edmund Kemper vibes in the 90s, and it just sounds like a wild, crazy time. This is about a girl who is getting a ride from a guy who she suspects is a serial killer in the 90s, and yeah, I'm just very excited for it. I don't think Riley Sager has done a time period book. Home Before Dark, they jumped back and forth in time, so I think it's gonna be interesting to just see how nostalgic he can get about the early 90s. And yeah, I'm very excited for this one. It is coming out June 29th. The next horror book I am so excited for is The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix, and I'm actually going to read the synopsis for this one just so it doesn't get lost in my excitement for it. In horror movies, the final girl is the one who's left standing when the credits roll, the one who fought back, defeated the killer, and avenged her friends, the one who emerges bloody but victorious. But after the sirens fade and the audience moves on, what happens to her? Lynette Tarkington is a real-life final girl who survived a massacre 22 years ago, and it has defined every day of her life since. And she's not alone. For more than a decade, she's been meeting with 5 other actual final girls and their therapist and support group for those who survived the unthinkable, putting their lives back together piece by piece. That is until one of the women misses a meeting and Lynette's worst fears are realized. Someone knows about the group and is determined to take their lives apart again, piece by piece. But the thing about these final girls is that they have each other now, and no matter how bad the odds, how dark the night, how sharp the knife, they will never, ever give up. How cool does that sound? So Grady Hendrix wrote the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and that had the most bad bitch vibes in it, if anything, and women coming together to fight evil, and that is what I'm expecting from this, and a good time, and I'm so excited for it. And this is coming out July 13th. Next horror book I am excited for is Billy Summers. This is a King book, actually. Oh my gosh, another 2 King books in 1 year, and this is about a killer for hire who's only kills the worst of the worst and who's very good at what he does when he's hired for his biggest job yet, though everything starts to go horribly wrong. So this sounds more of like an action book. There's no mention in this blurb that it has any supernatural stuff going on, but yeah, this is just a very tiny blurb on the tournight.com. But yeah, I'm super excited for this one. It comes out August 3rd. The next horror book I'm excited for is All's Well by Mona Awad. So I'm going to read the blurb very quickly on this as well. From the critically acclaimed author of Bunny, a darkly funny novel about a theater professor suffering chronic pain who's in the process of staging a troubled production of Shakespeare's most maligned play, I don't know how to read, suddenly and miraculously recovers. So I guess somebody who is sick recovers. I loved Bunny by Mona Awad, so I'm very excited for this new release, and this comes out August 3rd. So this one just sounds so cool. A lesson in vengeance for fans of Wild Girls and Ninth House, a dark, twisty, atmospheric thriller about a boarding school haunted by its history of witchcraft and two girls dangerously close to digging up the past. Wilder Girls and Ninth House. I feel like those two, I've never even heard them compared, because Wilder Girls is a wild sci-fi time, and Ninth House is more dark academia, and it's also an adult novel, and Wilder Girls is YA, so I was like, what, those two together? Okay. It sounds cool, though, this little blurb, and this is by Victoria Lee, and it is coming out August 3rd. The next horror book I am very excited about is Chasing the Boogeyman by Richard Scheismar, and he is actually the author with Stephen King in the Gwendy's Button Box and Gwendy's Feather books, which I've only read the first one, The Button Box, and I really liked it. They're little short, they're not a short story, it's a novel, but it's a shorter novel for King, and I really liked it, and I actually have never read any of his stuff, but this sounds super interesting. Richard Scheismar, co-author of Gwendy's Button Box, brings his signature thrilling page-turning prose to this story of a small-town evil that combines the storytelling of Stephen King with the true crime suspense of Michelle McNamara. And I love Michelle McNamara's I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So this just sounded really interesting to me, like kind of a mix. Maybe there's some supernatural in it, or it's just one of those very surreal serial killer books that can be quite disturbing without any supernatural stuff. And this is coming out August 17th. The next one I am purely picked because of the author and the title of it. It sounds so good. The title is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. In her quickly gentrifying rural lake town, Jade sees recent events only her encyclopedic knowledge of horror films could have prepared her for in this latest novel from horror master Stephen Graham Jones. I just love the name of this. It just sounds like a song I would like to listen to over and over again. And yeah, love Stephen Graham Jones, and this comes out August 31st. So the next horror book I'm really excited about, I've never heard of this author before, but this synopsis just sounds so good. And that is Red X by David Dimchuk. A haunted community, a haunted author, a horror that spans centuries. Men are disappearing from Toronto's gay village one by one, stalked and banished. They leave behind small circles of baffled, frightened friends. Against the shifting backdrops of homophobia from the HIV/AIDS crisis and riots against raids to gentrification and police brutality, the survivors face inaction from the law and disinterest from a society at large. But as the missing grow in number, those left behind begin to realize that whoever or whatever is taking these men have been doing so for longer than is humanly possible. Wow, that gave me very like Dairy Town vibes, and there's just this huge force that's been doing this forever and like feeding people's fears and manipulating whole towns to do evil stuff or to turn a blind eye to evil. Yeah, I just read that synopsis and it got me like super pumped, and this is coming out August 31st. So the next book isn't technically going to be a new release, it's going to be a re-release because it was released and then it stopped being produced, I guess, or being made, and now it's being released. I don't really know how the book business works, but this is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is an earlier book of hers that is a vampire noir book, and the cover of this, oh my god, it's stunning. I love the colors in it. I've been loving Silvia Moreno Garcia books lately, and this just seems right up my alley too. Like it almost gives me Blade Runner vibes, but with vampires. How cool is that? That just sounds really... The next book sounds really interesting, and again, this is an author I've never read before, and that is The 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess by Andy Marino. This is a debut novel. Thrilling new voice in horror comes the haunting tale of a woman whose life begins to unravel after a home invasion. She's told she killed the intruder, but she can't remember, and no one believes her. Which is like, that just has to be frustrating, right? Like, yeah, I'm pretty traumatized and don't remember, and everybody's like, oh no, you're like a murderer now, it's okay. What? So excited to read this, and this comes out September 28th. The next horror book I'm very excited for is Summer Sons by Lee Mandello. Lee Mandello's debut Summer Sons is a sweltering queer Southern Gothic that crosses Appalachian street racing with academic intrigue, all haunted by hungry ghosts. That just sounds like so much fun. It almost sounds like Grady Hendrix meets Poltergeist or something. And I'm very excited to check this one out on September 28th. So I think this is the last one. The last horror book that I'm looking forward to is Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valenti. A terrifying new thriller from bestseller Catherine M. Valenti for fans of Gone Girl and Spinning Silver. Sophia's life is perfect, her husband is perfect, their home together in Arcadia Gardens is perfect, everything is perfect, but sometimes Sophia wonders about things, dark things, like the locked basement she is never allowed to enter, and whenever she asks the neighbors, they can't quite meet her gaze. So this sounds like almost like a Good Marriage type of thriller where the wife is suspecting something, and then when she finds out, she's very, very shocked by it. So it sounds pretty interesting. The title is what caught my eye, Comfort Me with Apples. That just sounds very bizarre, and I was intrigued. And yeah, it sounds it's gonna be like a decent thriller, and this comes out October 26th. So there was 13 horror books that I'm looking forward to reading in 2021. New releases. I've been pretty bad about reading new releases, so hopefully I will step up and read these 13 and get back to you guys on what I think about them. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below which one it sounds intriguing to you, and you guys have a great day.